Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. Sulaiman Rahim here, Master of the Covenant, breaker of the seven seals. Second year. Brothers and sisters, we're going to talk about this is the death bomb part 2. The Holocaust. Brothers and sisters, all that you see happening now and that you will see in the near future, in the next few months, next year or so, is a consequence of the Holocaust. Those that perpetrated the Holocaust upon us. You will see in clear HD who they are because they make manifest totally because they will be the ones that will receive the consequence of the Holocaust. They sowed the wind, they're going to receive the whirlwind. You're going to see things you never would have imagined. Terror on an unprecedented scale. Time of unprecedented trouble make children gray-headed. Men walk around drunk and not have a drink. People eating their children. You see these things as it says in Scripture. Time of unprecedented trouble. We're going to talk about some of these things. But the Holocaust, you need to understand there's a consequence of the Holocaust. What is the Holocaust? Holocaust is what is talked about in Abrahamic covenant. There will be enslaved and afflicted. Abraham had a vision of horror. Read this, had a vision of horror. So it wasn't like, oh, here's slavery. No, it was a slavery and affliction. And affliction was a vision of horror. Get the proper translation, horror. Because it was horrific what he saw that his descendants, his seed, would have to go through. Vision of horror. Dr. Shabazz knew very perfectly well what he'd go through. And we were told this when something was forced upon us. We agreed. And we didn't force on the sisters. Everybody was in agreement. We told the sisters what we expect, what would happen. 1 second, brothers and sisters here. What to expect, what would happen. Everybody agreed. Everybody's on board. Because of the promise. Because of the promise. If you do this, this is your reward. And because of the promise and the beauty and the power of that promise, we're always on board. That's tribe Shabazz. Other tribes, they didn't want to do it. The same promise that Pharaoh kind of telling you you're not going to get. You ain't going nowhere. He's telling you you're not going to get the promise. You got the pain, but you're not going to get the promise. We're going to deal with him in due time. The Holocaust. There's two tribulations, if you notice, in the scripture, two tribulations. It says the tribulation of those days, immediately after tribulation of those days. What was it? Tribulation of those days, when did it end? 2020. Immediately the first plague happened. It says immediately after tribulation of those days. So we went through a tribulation. But it wasn't an unprecedented time. It says there'll be a time unprecedented. But when you think about it, you got to read it closely. The tribulation we went through was unprecedented. But when they talk about the other one, see, the consequence, they represent unprecedented because it's greater than the one we went through. So when you break this down clearly, the tribulation of Holocaust was unprecedented up to that time. It was unprecedented up to that time. So as referred to as tribulation of those days. But the consequence of the Holocaust is greater than the Holocaust in respect to the intensity, because the Holocaust was spread out over nearly 500 years. But the time of unprecedented trouble, maybe say terror costs, that is all of what happened over 500 years compressed into 1 year. That's why it's unprecedented. Because if you say unprecedented by in of itself, that means it's unjust. Because it's trouble as a result of what? It's unprecedented. What about the thing that caused it? Okay. So that's why I have to look at it. You have to read between lines, add the math, because they don't come and tell you, right? They come and tell you, okay, here's the word. They don't come and spell this word out for you. They give you the word. See? Like I'm talking right now. I say it's going to be trouble. I don't come and say trouble. You understand what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? So, if it's time unprecedented trouble, then yes, sir, what caused the unprecedented trouble? That means the tribulation prior. That tribulation was unprecedented in this time, but the reason why this is unprecedented, because they compressed nearly 500 years into 1 year. Nothing like that's ever been done before. So, it's consequence. It's just. It's just. See? Just unprecedented. But the cause was unprecedented also in this time, but this is unprecedented because it's greater, because the intensity is so compressed in one year period of time. But what they did was unconscionable. It's the quality of it. They had the power to enslave us, to control us. Like I try to explain about the situation about a man having a family of 10 people, each one have $1,000 a day, right? They receive $100,000 a day for whatever reason, but they have to give it to dad. Dad controls it. So now dad can be an evil dad and say, okay, I got $1,000, I got $10,000. He can go out and buy a Lamborghini and do what he wants to do and buy them partridge and Cheerios and stuff like that. He can go and buy a nice little mansion and give everybody their own room and everything. He can do it because he has control. He decides how he wants to do it, distribute it. And that's what a king does. See, that's what a king's supposed to do. He has control of all the resources of the people. He's supposed to make sure, that's what he's supposed to do, make sure to distribute evenly. That's not what they do. See, and this ruler, Adam, was put in rule. That's not what he done. He took all the good stuff for himself and gave shit to everybody else. Make Mitchell shed blood. He's not a true, faithful ruler. Not a righteous ruler. But it said, the king, Master by Muhammad, he's going to be the God of this season, the 6,000 years, this period. He'll be a just God. He's going to make sure everybody gets their fair share. Everybody. See, this world has never seen anything like that. No capitalism like garbage. Everybody gets their fair share. And I never talked about this before. I'm going to mention this. See, the primary purpose of the 25th science is just to make sure all other scientists stay on track. Like oversight. Because he rarely ever steps forward and take control of a season. Never did in the past. He's not going to do it now. I say rarely, I should say never, but I'm not going to say never, I say rarely. Because I'm not familiar with the whole 76 trillion years of history. I don't know the detail, but I don't think this has ever stepped forward and took control, except initially in the beginning, when it was just him. You understand? So So he's like oversight. But the God of every period rests on the primarily 12 scientists, the senior ones. Occasionally, the 12 minor scientists step forward, but it's mostly 12 major. And Master Muhammad is considered 24th scientist. Fair says faithful and true. So this Holocaust, yes, they did. It took in symbiotic relationship. I'm not going to let, we talked about it earlier, but he took and gave us the shit they took to go. So I'm not going to leave that there because I want to get into this presentation. I don't go into that kind of detail. I've done it previously. I want to go into some other kind of detail. So, anyway, Holocaust. So everything we talk about really reflects on the Holocaust. So, brothers and sisters, we're talking about the death bomb. Like I said, it says all the nations were made angry. All the nations were made angry. All the nations were mourned, but they were made angry. See? All the nations were made angry. Talking about these street demons, right? Say were gathered, the nations gathered for war. See, they gathered for war. Everybody's gathered for war. Nations gathered for war in a place called Armageddon. Armageddon, they say. Everybody's preparing for war. Except the original people. Everybody's preparing for war. That's why right now, because we hear the war drums. Everybody's preparing for war. Now, you can go look at some of these stuff on the internet, whatever. Right? This Rick Wild guys on, the truth. He's saying it. They can see it. And in fact, his last broadcast, he says, 3 or 4 billion people going to die. Seems like, after I say something, everybody seems like chime in. But I'm not getting any, views. But it seems like, as soon as I say it, all of a sudden everybody starts saying the same thing. Because I got a couple more people on, saying if there's an atomic war, it's going to kill 3 billion people, die of starvation. But see, everybody is against us on this one. I'm not going all the details, brothers and sisters, because you have no idea how powerful you are. I'm putting together a special series. I'm not sure how far I'm going to go with it. Because right now, we at the edge of a precipice. Everything could jump off at any minute, any moment. And so putting the series together probably is not the most relevant thing to do right now. Because I wanted to give you some idea how powerful you are. Now I might say a couple of things about it. But see, I need to really sit down and take time with it because you wouldn't understand what I'm talking about, brothers and sisters. You wouldn't understand what I'm talking about. Because I wanted to tell you about a weapon that Master Muhammad has that makes this thing look, with its bomb stuff, make it look like nothing. I'm not sure why I should even mention it because it's kind of complicated. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes talking on high level. I know you're not going to know what I'm talking about, but the thing is, see, you understand, we're not talking about for really now. We're talking about for the future because we want to have the information out there when Lazarus wake up. So we have a full meal. Prepare for him. We're preparing the meal for Lazarus. That's what we're doing, brothers and sisters. We're preparing the meal for Lazarus who wakes up. You got a full course of all this knowledge. Because he's going to be hungry. His mind's going to be hungry. Upload. And we prepared a full banquet for him. Full buffet. So let me touch on this a little bit. I still have my doubts. He mentioned it. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit about it. God said, then preparing for when he wakes up. You can ask me questions about it later. But see, the thing is that the universe expands. I'm really reluctant to do this, brothers and sisters. I'm really gonna go through it pretty quickly. Universe expands. Universe expands by converting potential space into space, with space energy. Potential space into space. I mean, that by definition, that's the only way you can expand, because it wasn't space before, and now you made it space. So it had to be potential to be space. That's the only way you can expand it, like a rubber band, right? It had the potential to be at 2 inches, but it was only 1 inch. And you stretched it 2 inches, but it had the ability. It was only 1 inch there. So that's how the universe takes potential for space, which is called matter, turn to space, which is neutrons. And neutrons is a basic particle in the universe. Right? The next level is definitely neutrons to proton. Anyway, neutrons. But see, speed of sound, that's the reaction rate of the air, the atmosphere. Speed of sound, that's the reaction rate of the atmosphere. See, when I say reaction rate, how fast something reacts. So the speed of sound is how fast water is different. When it has a different reaction rate. The sound, the atmosphere has, sound is the reaction rate of, the atmosphere. Okay? Now, we have our vehicles. Now, the Quran tells us, and the Bible also, that first we gave form to the earth. When I talk about giving form to the earth, right, we gave form to it, but the sisters gave beauty to it. We gave form. We gave form. They gave beauty to it. I'm always going to bring these sisters in because these sisters have been left out. The only thing they include the sisters in is all the bad stuff. She brought sin in the world, and she deceived this person, all that stuff, brothers and sisters. That's that sealed Bible stuff. Right? In fact, it's some in the Quran also. But we're going to stop all that. So, the universe as it expands, remember, it takes potential space and turn to space. So that means it expands, creates neutrons. More expand, more neutrons. Expansion also called neutrons conversion to protons. I'm not going to that level. I'm just stick on neutrons. So that's tension. So it pulls them into existence. Pulls neutrons exist as the universe expanding. That's one way it can expand. It has to turn potential space. So they expand by converting potential space to neutrons. So you have all these neutrons. So I'm going to cut to the chase here. So we have our vehicles, right? They move speed of thought, 24 billion miles per second, which is way fast speed of light. Well, as they're moving through the universe, the reaction way the universe is material. Everything is empty space. It's not empty space. Right? It's space. It's energy. Energy is space. That's what energy is. So, when you stretch it, right, it only expands. That's tension. You put tension on it, it make it expand, but by turning potential space into space to neutrons. But just like when you run through the atmosphere with a jet plane and it's moved past the speed of sound, you create these shock waves because air can't react because you're going past the speed of sound, so it can't react to your movement fast enough as you're moving. So you have that lag, and then, I talk about that all the time. Yeah, the same thing going on in the universe. But when you go past the speed of light, you put so much tension on the fabric of the universe, right, that you cause the tension, so you call artificial neutrons. Artificial neutrons, because they form. Because you put that much tension on it, because you go fast speed of sound, you can't react. So that tension is what causes neutrons, because neutrons come into existence. The faster you go, the more you produce, and the more stable they are. Because just like when you're traveling through the atmosphere, right? You produce that, but those stay stable because it might take 5 or 10 seconds to react, because you're going so fast, you can't react as fast as you're going. The faster you go, the longer the lag time to react. But sooner or later it reacts. So it comes back to normal again, but you get a big clap sound. Same thing, these neutrons, you go after they finally able to react, they turn back into potential space again. Well, when they turn into potential space, they decay into photons. I know you understand what I'm talking about here. They decay into photons. Photons of light. So you got this vehicle moving through there. Higher than the speed of light. It has to go fast speed of light to do this. If it goes 10 times speed of light, create more neutrons and more stability in them before they decay. Because like the air, it don't take long before the plane may be 10 miles away before you get a thunderclap. That's how fast that plane's moving. Fast speed of sound. Same thing. So it could be a trillion miles or billion miles away before the neutrons convert back to space again. On the way, they decay into photons. So now when you hear a sound that in the atmosphere, well, in this case you see light. A big burst of light, like star exploding. So if they want to see us out there billions of years ago, because that takes that time to get here, they can track us by seeing. They see like a string of supernovas, stars just floating. You see like a string of them. That's us moving through space. So why? Boom! One star explode. No, boom! Right in the track here. But then our stars exploded. Because from here, all you see a big bang of light. So you assume it's a star. No, that's us moving through space at faster speed of light. So you create all these neutrons. So we have I'm calling this, that's not what they call it. It's like a neutron scooper. So you got another vehicle that's behind it, and it scoops up all the neutrons that's being made, because these are artificial neutrons, it scoops them up. Scoops them all up. Okay. Has to do it real fast, because remember you got this decay effect. So the first one has to go real fast, really fast. The second one, not as fast as that, but it has to be able to scoop all these up in time before they decay into photons and then space turn back to normal. So it scoops them up. Trillions of them. You gotta have trillions of them, quadrillions of them. See? So it scoops them up. And say you have enough to fill, because these things are so small, say you have enough to fill a bowling ball, which would be hundreds of trillions of them. I mean, you can't even count how many you have to have, because they take up so much little space. And fill a ball, fill up even a tennis ball, even a ping pong ball, it would take trillions of them to fill it up. And because you want to pack them tight. You want them tight. See, whatever you want. So you want to put them in some kind of container, some kind of vessel or device, right? With it packed tight. So in other words, you can actually feel them, because they're gonna be packed tight. So you have to have trees of them. So in other words, it'd be a substance there, packed tight, right? So it takes trillions and trillions of them, maybe for size of a bowling ball, trillions of them. They scoop up as that plant is going really fast, create so many, you got to scoop them up. So once you do that, by itself, you have a most powerful gravitational field possible, because you got all that right there in this little space, all that They would call it matter. Each one of us have a gravity. So you have all of that right there. See? That by itself is super gravity. It'd be more that roller have more a greater gravitational field than the sun. It's that little space right there. But you have to put in a device, and that device, you have to make that device spin near speed of light. You don't want to move fast speed of light because then you create more neutrons. No, you don't want to do that because that's cause a problem. But you want to spin near clear speed of light, so you have the centrifugal force, like you spin a rock around, and how it pulls it. So that pulls, and that force, that centrifugal force on that level converts to a tensional force, which keeps the neutrons from decaying. Because remember, they were warp resisted by pulling, make it stretch in space. So once you're not pulling anymore, they don't go back to where they were. But if you use a centrifugal force, keeps that pull going, that keep from decaying. So now you got this super gravitational thing here, and spinning with, they can't duplicate any of this what I'm talking about. So now you got super gravitational thing, and by spinning and that, spinning causes a tension field. So now you got a super gravitation, then you got a super tension field because it's moving near the speed of light. That's what they looking at when they're talking about a black hole. That thing is so gravitational, so much gravitation. See, because that's what that tension field is, with the gravitational field. The gravitation is when you curve space. So you got space so extremely curved that you couldn't believe that nothing can escape it. This is a device, artificial device that we make. And the reason why we make it, because it says first we made the earth. And then we went out to the heavens and made complete 7 heavens. So then once we done that, then we did this, because when we started making stars and stuff, we wanted to group up in the galaxies. So we used one of these devices, and they could take and pull millions of stars together, keep them under control. Because this gravitational pull is so powerful that it could keep all of them. And the reason why we have safety lanes so we could travel through our space, because if stars are in place, you couldn't move at that speed. You have to have safety lanes. So that's why we have these galaxies and constellations like that. So we have a place we can move through them without hitting anything. That's why we do that. Those are called black holes. That's what they call them, black holes. We call them something else. But it's a device, it's gravitational artificial. Now the reason I'm saying that, I'm going to go into more detail in later time, depends on how the timing works out here. I said we're so close, and I don't think I have time to really do this series. I was going to do it about a month ago, but right. Let me just give you some highlights. So gravity cannot make this, because first of all, to make it spin near the speed of light, we have to have a super magnetic field that they could not duplicate. Second of all, they could not make it on this planet. You can't make it on this planet because just putting it together right there will cause a gravitational event. Right? Because you can't all that. So you couldn't even do it on this planet. You couldn't do it on any planet. You have to do it out in space, away from everything else. Right? Because you start moving galaxy stuff around. And you got to be careful because this thing has a powerful gravitational field. So I'm talking about something the size of like a bowling ball. What if you make something like the size of a peanut? Right? Marble. That have a gravitational field. Even that gravitational field would be greater than the sun's. I know you don't understand this, but it's gravitational because you got all that neutrons is packed. It's packed so hard, so tight, it's the size of marble. It's packed tight. There's no room. It's all tight. So tight you can feel it. And that's impossible to do anyway, because they could never get those many neutrons together. They could never get those many neutrons. Just neutrons by itself, they could never get together because you need trillions of them just for a marble. Size of a marble, they could never do that. But that's what we do it by ship moving super fast and increase trillions of them as they're moving. And you scoop them up. They could never couldn't do it. So why am I saying that? There's another way to come at that, but I'm not going to get into it. But they can't do it still can't do it. I'm saying because Master Muhammad has a device like that. Because it's also a bomb. See, you can't make it on this planet because you call it a gravitational event because it's it. And you see, because if you have one size of a marble, just size of a marble, it has to be smaller than actually to be, otherwise you destroy everything. You drop one of those things, say for instance, in Texas, even just America, here's how big it is. They would just evaporate. The gravitational force would be so great, all you see is a big old flash of light, boom, and everything would just disappear. They call it like a singularity. They may talk about moves because they say if somebody can make a black hole and use it as a weapon, but we can't. So the reason I'm saying that because so many people still think, oh man, they're so impressed with these nuclear weapon stuff. I keep telling you, first of all, that don't mean anything to us because that's an atmosphere. They just show the power. They say they're the prince of the power of the air. So atomic bombs just using the powers in the air, but they don't know about the power in the atmosphere, the power of the angel, the power of thought. So they can't control that region. They can't control that. That's why all you need is send one person in with scripture, those atom bombs, ATTOM, and they destroy the reality of nations. They broke down Rome. They destroy them. And like right now, the angel is destroying Gog and Magog. So their little weapons they have is puny compared to what we have. It looks impressive to them. And so, but he has those weapons also. Because when you study the lesson, he says, one lesson goes something like this. This scientist, he cracked the atom. Remember, when he revealed this lesson, nobody knew about cracking the atom. Nobody knew about atomic bomb. It wasn't even in the consciousness of Europeans in the early 30s. It wasn't in their consciousness. And he's talking about cracked atom when they had no idea. It wasn't in any literature or anything. And it says, he cracked the atom in 10 million parts. The question is, how much does cracked atom weigh? And you see people like dumbass Farrakhan and Ishmael are trying to, they don't know what it means. The question is, all you got to do is ask yourself, how much force does a cracked atom have? Then you got the answer because it's telling you that this atom is split. You got 10 million photons moving out instantly. That's nuclear blast. You're talking about nuclear blast in the lessons right there. I'm not making anything up. Before there was even a conscience here. So that means even if you don't go to the one I was just telling you about, just on the atomic weapons, there's now the atomic weapons before they even dreamt of it. So that's what I put out there, but I go into more detail that another time. I'm trying to give you some idea of the power of the God. Because like Mama said, he could crack the earth. You cannot crack the earth with atomic weapons. You can't do it. I don't care how powerful your earth, powerful not atomic weapon is. You cannot crack the earth with atomic weapons. You can't do it. But you can do it with the weapon I just told you about. They call it a singularity. We have a better name for it, but you can crack the earth with that. You can blow up the earth with that. You can't do it. The scientist, he split the earth. He split the earth at the moon away. He blew it up, but he didn't do it with dynamite like Muhammad said dynamite, because that's the most powerful destruction he knew about during that time. So think about that for a minute, bro, since then we move right on into our presentation. Back in here. Now, some might ask, I know what you talking about stuff like that. Why are you talking about stuff like that? Because we're war, brothers and sisters. And this war is going to be like no war you've ever heard before. Now, unprecedented trouble. And when I say unprecedented, that's also referring to the one, because when we say unprecedented, that means that includes when they blew the moon away from the earth. That's how intense it's going to be. And that's what I'm talking about. As God can make ours, going to make their land stand. And that's a powerful, that's going to be a dramatic war in of itself. Let me check something here, brothers and sisters. 1 second here. Issue here. Let me change this a little bit here. Okay. This war like you never seen before. And weapons like you never heard of before. But you need to know that your God is more powerful than anything they have. And that's not marginally more powerful. Not just those wheels, but the power that those wheels, right, can control, can call upon. Like Muhammad said, they have powerful weapons, much more powerful than what they have here. So I gave an indication of one that they could not manufacture, they could not produce. They said you had to be off planet to even do it. So I'm just giving you, like I said, I didn't mean to go into a lot of detail and that kind of stuff, trying to impress you. I'm just trying to give you an idea that they think okay. 100 years ago, if you went to Africa with some dynamite, man, boy, I was like, wow. Because you remember, the thing is they was able to conquer a lot of nations just because they had the gun, other nations didn't. So that was a powerful weapon, guns and cannons. But now they got nuclear weapons and everybody's impressed by that. Oh man, they're afraid. You got a lot of people afraid. You got nuclear weapons, they're invincible. Who is like the beast? Who can make war with the beast? I'm telling you, the beast is nothing. We have weapons that he can't even imagine. Couldn't touch. That's the reason I'm telling you that, brothers and sisters. So if you understand any of that, right? Like I said, I meant to go over and talk about this months ago, but now right now we're in it. We're actually in war right now. But you understand it yet? So let's see what we go here. The death bomb. Now all the nations against our rise. It says the demons, right? Those unclean spirits, they prepared the nations to go prepared. The nation to get this great war. So the nation was angry. They was ready for war. And the devil, he was everybody's angry and said, and said they're full of wrath. Full of wrath. The goat, he's full of wrath against the ram. Everybody's full of wrath. And it says the God and the lamb, they're full of wrath. That means you got a hell of a war on your hands. That's going to be ignited in the Middle East. And I really haven't really talked to my people and the people who's work. I really never gave them a full impact of what this is all about. Only just said that they're going to miss, that they're going to be pulled out of it. Says time of Jacob's trouble to be moved out of it. But they don't really understand the impact of this. I don't think anybody does. Everybody's full of wrath. And they got weapons that you don't even know about. I revealed to us the weapons that those nuclear armed satellites that they got there, that they hide from other people. And other stuff. That's why Master Muhammad, right? He's going to come on the technical side. He got those wheels. So he can counter all of that. Suleiman's dealing with it from a different perspective. With their minds. See? That's powerful. Because they're confused now. They make all kinds of derision. That's Suleiman's doing. But when they take off their weapons, when they go kinetic, as they say, that's Master Muhammad. That's his side. Kinetic means like force weapons anyway. So I'm going to move past through some of this stuff right here. Now see, he's the enemy. Because he wants to, this whole war is about us. It tells you all the plagues and everything that was for us. Or what's happening, all the nations are all about us. And if they confuse us, that's when we confuse the enemy, distract the enemy, confuse the enemy, keep the enemy disunited, then you can defeat the enemy. And so he's coming, he's the master deceiver, the son of perdition. See? Because he got a whole bag of tricks. Scientology, American Dream, we ain't going nowhere. Sunniism, which seems perfectly great. It's the way of God, the land of God, religion of God, right? How do you have the holy place of God, but not the will of God. And the Quran tells you that's what's going to save you, not this other stuff. Because the jinn, they got all of that. Ishmael had all of that. They had all of that. Betrayed Isaac, Joseph. He meant to kill him. That was his purpose. The Quran says their purpose was to kill. It says only one brother suggests they shouldn't. Their purpose was to kill us. That's our brothers. Ishmael, Sunni. And he's telling you, well, we should be with Sunni. They want you dead. It tells you right there. They want us dead. They put him down the well for his death. There's only one brother said, no, let the Egyptians have him. Put us in slavery. They want us dead. They still want you dead. American Dream, they want you dead. So he said that dream, and they saw a dream perish. He said that false dream to lower you into destruction. See, this is the true dream they're hiding from you. True dream. Remember the reward? We went through this for a reward. But he's telling you God's a liar. Because you ain't getting any reward. You don't even understand that's what he's saying. He's telling you don't listen to God. Listen to him. Because it says right there clearly, he quotes the Abrahamic covenant, but he doesn't quote the whole thing. He quotes the part about our suffering. Then he says, our suffering because we were sinful. That's his take on it. But a couple of verses later just tell you, no, we just sacrificed that we're going home to the promised land. It gives you, tell you where it is. And they try to tell you that's Mississippi River or something. Tell you where it is. It says between the Euphrates and the Nile River, which is Arabia. They're going to see a lot of people with this. That's the real vision. Move on, brothers and sisters. Get to the main thing. And that's what this is here. They're preparing you. He's preparing you for war. Remember, the demons were preparing for war. He's the chief demon. They're preparing you for war to take this side, this America. He says America belongs to belongs to them. The demons said America belongs to them. How are they going to get it? They plan on taking it. That's what it said in Angel. They planned for war. I told you, they want to convince us to go along with them. There's 17 million of them, there's 17 million of us. So we should be with them. No. Even back during civil rights, they tried to convince Elijah Muhammad to go along with them. They finally pulled up Steve Malcolm. They're trying to get us to go along with them because they want to keep this. But where does this lead to? I talk about Cyborg and this industrial complex that God's at war with. God's at war with. It's also war with their financial. It says he's at war with the usurers. It says right there in the Quran. God's at war. Everybody's at war. Except you. You're at war with yourself. And don't know it. They got you at war with yourself. Self-imposed energy deprivation got you at war with yourself. Got you at war with yourself. That's what it says in Mark. It says you was beating yourself. You was beating yourself. They got you. Everybody's at war, and you're at war with yourself. Only thing saved you from being at war with yourself was Suleiman. Because if he didn't come, you destroy yourself. Because you was destroying yourself, it says, and you was at war with yourself. That's how bad it is. Everybody's at war with you, and you at war with yourself. And Suleiman had to come and get them demons off you, so you stop being at war with yourself and turn your attention to bringing the rest of the people together and getting rid of those damn demons. But that's Suleiman's job, to get rid of those demons. But you're at war with yourself. What it says right there. No, it's beating yourself up. We're all at war as a consequence of the Holocaust. We're all at war right now. And I can't get that fact over because most people, even people that's with me, I don't think they really understand it. The impact of what's happening here. We're all at war. I have somewhat of a point saying you're at war with yourself as far as emotion and everything else. There's some truth to that. But we ain't paying attention to watch the weather guy because, like I say, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Deception is. So we go through this pretty quickly. So energy deprivation, that's what was suffering up to 1948. 97 self-imposed energy deprivation. Because up to 1948, you did not have enough energy to maintain your personal self. So he was able to do that. That's part of the reason for the how to live. But they was right there trying to get you to not use the energy to maintain yourself. Oh man, fasting, man. Why you go up to party, man? Get your groove on. Go ahead and grab you one of your sister, grab one brother, or grab you both of them. I mean, you transgender, you anything now. Have it up, live it up. The American dream, man. It's America. And so now I got you, instead of using energy in the proper way, which way you convert to power, like instead of investing your money, you're splurging with it. That's what you're doing. So self-imposed energy deprivation. That means you have no power. And if you have as long as you have energy deprivation, that means you have control of you. Because that was Adam's job, to control you, right? Because you didn't have enough energy to control yourself. You have no power. So he had power over you. I'm not going to, I'm moving quickly through this, brothers and sisters. So the problem, the question of energy deprivation came up like 1,000 years ago. All the scientists met. And Dr. Shabazz, Dr. Yaqub wasn't around at that time. Dr. Shabazz offered a solution. No one agreed with it. In fact, some people took exception to it. Everybody came to this situation at that time. We had technology on the planet, not this industrial complex, right? You do certain things. We removed that after this meeting. Once everybody agreed on the same page, who's going to energy deprivation for 50,000 years, what the basic end result would be and everything else. So they agreed on that. They disagreed on the solution to the problem. They disagreed on the solution to the problem. So they moved all four planet because they didn't want that stuff to be available when Dr. Yakub came along. Everybody knew Dr. Yakub come along. They knew scripts, they knew scientists. He said 25,000 years, but in this case they wrote 53,000 years because that's how critical the situation is. One time they wrote history of 50,000 years instead of 25,000 because they need to cover the whole period. They have solutions. Let's get into what I really want to talk about, the death bomb. And at that time, the Oriental people didn't exist. You only had three tribes. The Levite tribe, which is what we call Africa now. The Shabazz tribe, which is called Arabia now, which is North Africa. And the Hindi tribe, which is the Hindu Kush, Afghanistan, all the way up into Europe. But that was on this continent. That was on this side. On the other hemisphere, another tribe. There's another tribe on the other side of the hemisphere. See? There was one major tribe there. We was on the best part of the planet Earth. They was on the worst part, but there was another hemisphere. Tribe there. Right? One universal tribe. It tells you in Daniel that we control the whole earth. So Nebuchadnezzar had control of the whole earth. That was us. So you got two Nebuchadnezzars there. That's something I can go into. You got two Nebuchadnezzars there. Right? The one made of gold, the one made of brass, but that's a little complicated for you to understand at this point. Anyway, but they all knew that in 50,000 years, there's going to be an epic battle for control of this creation. Because they knew Gog and Magog was going to come on the scene. They knew that Dr. Yakub was going to make Gog and Magog. Right? Gog and Magog would be coming the last 6,000 years of the 50,000 year period. They mix with shed blood. The Quran talks about them, says they'll be let loose. It says there'll be a beast that rises up from the earth that will speak to you. That's them. And said they'll be, and the Hadith says he would make a beast that nobody could destroy but himself. So nobody can destroy Gog and Magog but God himself. What says in the Hadith. So then Gog and Magog would be loose. They would be held. They'd be balled up, and according to the Quran, they'd be balled up. Right? Well, iron and brass. Ain't think about it. Iron and brass. That's the same thing about Daniel, ain't it? Ball up. The Al-Quran, ball them up. They said they'd be let loose, and they'd stop every elevated place. And then hell would come close to few. Because we've been in the deprivation. But it'd be a great war. Great war. And they knew 50,000 years ago that God could make up, when they came loose, they would cover the whole planet, because it says in chapter 20. They would go out and cover the whole planet that they didn't even know about until 500 years ago. See, for 6,000, they've been on the planet 6,000 years, but 5,000 years, they didn't even know about this side of the planet. So you had a whole... Well, the people over here at that time, they wasn't from the original tribe that was here. They came, like Mama said, they came from the Hindi tribe because they was kicked out of Asia because they went to the extreme in this religious thing. They started worshiping sticks and stones. And see, everybody has solution. So the Hindi tribe, their solution is to downgrade the mentality because they would have to use less energy. In other words, go from the mental. From the mathematical standard down to philosophical standard. That's religion. Because it takes a whole lot of energy to maintain the mathematical standard. And they was trying to minimize energy deprivation. So to keep it lower, right? So not having your mind on that level, lowering it down, that means you wasn't suffering, you require that much energy to maintain your mentality. And that sounds kind of strange, but that's what it, because they weren't religion. They went off the mathematical standard. We got to read between lines these things. They did it purposely. They went to the militaries. They went off. Now they had to know what they was doing because they was on the mathematical standard. So they actually knew exactly what was going on. So they had to constantly say, "No, I'm gonna get off the mathematical standard." So education, so we're gonna downplay our mentality. So now we need a whole lot less energy because it takes more energy to maintain your mind than anything else. So we lower that. That means now we're gonna suffer that much. We don't need that much energy anymore. So now we can minimize the impact of energy deprivation on us. And they did. And then someone took to a extreme. They went down and started worshiping stick stone. I mean, they almost lost their mind totally. And so they was forced out. They was forced out over here. Because there wasn't nobody over here at that time. They'd already left. And the people over here, they was forced over here. They didn't willingly come over here. They was forced out of there. Imagine how many times. So you got to read between what he's saying. They didn't come over here willingly. They was forced out over here. So why they had to be forced? They knew about what's here because they came over here. They knew it was here. They was forced to come over here. So why was they had to be forced to come over here? That's 15,000 years ago. That's Hindi. Africans, they had their solution. Right? The Arabs have brother, they have Hindi, have Shabbat. Everybody had a way of dealing with this situation. Trying to, some of them said, well, when Dr. Yaqub come along, we're going to circumcise ourselves. Spiritual circumcision means get rid of that black skin, right? Like Master Muhammad, he circumcised, spiritually circumcised that black skin, because that's part of what causes deprivation. Because you get rid of that, that means you require less energy because you downgrade your DNA a notch or two. So I'm not going into all this detail about this, but I'm going to get to the point I'm trying to make it. And at that point, the originals didn't exist. But so you had 3 tribes over here, 1 tribe, 3 tribes in the best part of planet Earth over there, right? In Africa, what's called Africa, Arabia, and Hindu Kush, and further up, what people refer to as Asia. So that's just up until 6,000 years ago when Dr. Yaqub made Adam. That's what we're talking about right now. He's an iteration of that. He's a descendant of Adam. We're talking about several Adams in the Bible and the Quran. Right? But this last one, that's Gog and Magog. That first one wasn't Gog and Magog. This last one, that's their children, their descendants. But that's Gog and Magog. That's one come out of the pit 2,000 years ago. Gog and Magog. That's Britain and America. So in the process of that, I'm not going to detail the process of making it because it's a graphic process to take and minimize their DNA, minimize it, maximize the recessive genes and minimize, right, downplay, restrain, downgrade the dominant genes and augment or the recessive genes. So you minimize one and strengthen the other until, right, almost all of the dominant genes almost. Because first of all, he took the brown germ anyway, because he had 2 germs. He had a black germ and a brown germ. So he took the brown germ, and that's what he did. So he minimized until he had a being that was almost all recessive genes. That's the occasion. All their genes are recessive. Straight hair and white skin, all that kind of stuff, right? Blue eyes, so recessive. They'll tell you that stuff. You can book on DNA, book on biology, and it'll tell you. They don't admit that. But they think that's the kind of strength. Anyway, that's another story. So this was a 600-year process that Dr. Yaqub wasn't around to see it through. He set it up. Master Muhammad would not be around to see this 6,000-year period he's the God of to the end. Not in the form he is right now, but anyway, to the end. But he's going to set it up. He's going to set the kingdom up. So, it's But the question is, how do they know when to stop in this process, right, of minimizing the original DNA, the dominant, and augmenting the, recessive? Well, they know when you get to the point where you're no longer viable as a human being. You're no longer intelligent. Your intelligence far below, basic standards. That's what you call retarded. Then they call it Down syndrome. Actually, you should call it Mongolism. Why do they call it Mongolism? Because all those children look just almost the same. They all look the same. They're all white. They all look almost the same, identical. Like your all brothers and sisters. All Mongol, and then they went to that to retarded. But they didn't until Elijah Muhammad came on the scene. We saw this process, and they had to hide that. I'm not going to details. How to hide that, right? Because this was proof of what he was talking about. Because they was the proof. So it went, right? So then it changed from Mongolism to retarded to Down syndrome. To mentally challenged or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. So when they start getting a lot, not one or two, but most of it's okay, we can't go any further, but that's all we're going to do is produce this. So I got to, hey man, well, how do they get brown people? Well, they went from black, they got then brown people, they escaped the island, and how they go to the complete process, they'll escape the island. He don't know what the hell he's talking about. Well, that's how the brown people came. Because that's not what Elijah Muhammad taught. Start with black people, then the brown people came. Brown people skipped out. Well, then how do you get to yellow then? Because it didn't happen nothing like that. So he took them, they gathered them, they had a choice. They kill them, keep them alive. So they took them as far north they could. They taught them pidgin language because they basically at third grade level. That's what third grade children learn. Right? It's pidgin language, right? Teach them two sticks because they can't manufacture, make forks, got 2 sticks to eat with. Right? Pidgin language. Right? They can't farm and stuff, they're not doing that, so teach them right, so you got to stump it. They can't go out and hunt because they're not intelligent enough, so they give them the domesticated dog to eat. You understand what I'm saying? That's what you got up there. And you find somebody that's born, and they look just like them. If they're born mentally child, look just like the Mongols. That's where they come from. And we get in our community, that means because their DNA got mixed in with us somehow. That's why I call them deaf. Because they got that unstable chromosome, and if that was allowed to run rampant in the DNA community, then all of a sudden eventually everybody could be need special education. That won't do that. That's why none of them allowed into the art. Anyway. So that's what happened. I'm not going into details, a lot more to it, basically. And then as a result, because they're in that condition, you had other people from other nations, right? Over time, raping their women, other different things, and they boost their IQ. So we see right now, they still got an unstable gene. They start out like that eventually. They still had a pidgin language, still two sticks, all of them. Vietnam, China, all of them. They all come out the same stock. Right? Pidgin language, so forth. So they came on the scene 6,000 years ago. And the agents were there. So they weren't a part of that agreement that was made with the nations. Because there was an agreement made 50,000 years ago that we was going to take this head on. They thought we were stupid to do it. We were going to take this head on. And the basic problem head on. But at the end, right, because we were taking, we were going to take the hit for the nations, and we get the best part of the planet, we get our land back and everything else. Everybody was on board, but I guess China wasn't on board with that because they wasn't around at that time. But the thing is now, because they got history going 6,000 years, but after a certain time, everybody understands what's going on. You understand history. and understand who we are. So everybody was on board. But see, there was another group on this side. They knew there was going to be this epic battle on this side of the earth. Okay, that's where Gog and Magog was going to come over here, and they were going to make their home base here, on this side of the planet. This would be the throne of Gog and Magog. Because that's Magog came here and set up Gog. Magog is Britain. They came and set up Magog. So they like, you know, ham and cheese. They're together. Because when you see in Daniel, it says that the goat attacked the ram, they had two horns. It said it had two horns. It said the greater horn came up last. And these were two world empires. Only the two European world empires that you know about. Only something the two world empires you know about at all, period. And that's Britain and Europe and America. And it says he would attack them here. So how is that? Because Britain's over here. Because if you understand the angel, Britain's taken out right away. When the war starts out in the Middle East, right? As soon as right after they get involved with Europe, China and Korea, they take out, North Korea takes out Britain immediately. Britain's gone. Population gone. But their military force, the Navy and all that kind of stuff, right? And a lot of military survive it. And so now they're still fighting over in Europe, but they'll also make their home base here because they can't make it in Britain anymore because Britain's gone. So now they operate out of here. So they help America fight here and in Europe. So Gog and Magog both would be here. Their home base. And that's where the battle would take place. It's an epic battle because of Holocaust. That's the battle with them. That's the consequence. See, the latter days, that's not so much a consequence of Holocaust. There's some little bits of it. But the Holocaust, about Holocaust, unprecedented trouble, that has nothing to do with the war of latter days. That's to do with this because it's all that compressed into 1 year. So that's why I'll make that clear. That's the war of unprecedented trouble. The one's going to take place here. On this side of the planet. Even though they'll be fighting in Europe, but it'll take place here. Because that's where the goat is going to attack the ram. Here. It says the ram it was right here in America. When the goat attacks it. So the British force will be here. This will be their home base here because Britain's gone. And they're fighting over in Europe. Europeans have turned against America. So America's alone there. Anybody can help them is Britain. And over here, they got trouble because they got civil war going on here. But initially, right, they're at war with China and North Korea because they already took out Britain, so they're at war with them there. That's before. That's before the goat attacks. Here, they're already at war with them. Because they took out Britain already. They're already at war with China and North Korea already. Now they're bringing their force, and they also war with in Russia. I mean, in Europe. So Britain and China is already at war because China and North Korea is already taking out Britain, the island, British Isles. So now they have moved operations here. So both will be here on this side of the planet, where Gog and Magog will make their last stand. Because it says, if you read Daniel closely, right, it says the rest of the beasts, they'll be spared for a time. In other words, they take out American forces over there, they destroy American forces. But in the meantime, they're weakened because now Europe is fighting against Europe. Europeans fighting against Europeans, right? So that's because it says the dragon has 7 heads and 10 horns and the crowns upon its heads. That's European countries. But it says there's the beast in chapter 13 He has 7 heads, 10 horns, but the crown is upon his horns, which tells you that because the crown is man authority, the authority Europeans, they have authority over the whole planet right now, they control it. That should shift to China and India because they destroy themselves. They become new superpowers. That's the word of the latter days. But the war of Armageddon, that's taking place over there. But the war of the goat and the ram, that takes place over here. See? That takes place. That's not Armageddon. Armageddon is the war in Europe. This is the goat and the ram. That takes place over here. That's the last stand of Gog and Magog. They're already defeated in Europe, so they run out of Europe. They run out of Europe. They run out of Middle East. So now their home base is here. And they got trouble here internally with the demons. So they was able to destroy the demons. And now they brace for this war with the goat. Because it goes on the way, so you got to take out those demons. They take out the demons. It says take out the demons and brace for a war. Epic war with the goat. And who's the goat? The goat, it tells you there, right? That's that 10 horns. That the God inspires them. He's controlling them, telling them they got to take out. It says, he put in heart, take out the harlot. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Now, why am I saying this? Because all the scientists, 50,000 years ago, know the final battle is going to take on this side of the planet. There's no God and Magog going to come over here and make their last stand. That's why I said it's going to be nuclear war. America's going to be nuclear, but the whole world's not going to be a nuclear war in the whole world. It's only going to be here. It's going to be a nuclear war right here in America. A nuclear war right here in America. Not going to be global, but that's why I say, why is they going to nuke America? Why is America you say, we're going to have the whole planet, so why we destroy part of the planet? Nobody's been living for 1,000 years. It says the book says the day the earth could be burned as an oven. So nobody's been living here for 1,000 years. Because it'll be nuked. It ain't going to be just a regular fire. It's going to be nuked. Why? Because this is where they're going to make their final stand. And you got China, India, and Japan's going to be with them. Japan's with them on two levels. They're going to be with China, India. All the Asian countries, all the Oriental countries are going to be with China. America think with them, hey, when this war going down and China takes Taiwan, all these countries, they're going to fall in line. And Japan ain't never forgot 2 bombs they dropped on them. They ain't forgot that. And we told, if you understand the angel, it tells you right then. That's another thing. I'm taking a little segue here. You know, when I studied the angel and everything, I was somewhat surprised. Because I knew from Elijah Muhammad that it says Master Muhammad would make his plane over in Japan, off the island of Japan. And that he would choose Japanese scientists. They would be the ones, right? That would pilot the plane and everything. And I went angel, and he's right there, exactly like it says, right in the angel. It's right there. You know what I'm saying? I was a little surprised at that one. I said, that's where he is. Anyway. See? So that's where they corner the ram and the goat. Right here. And they're gonna fight to the bitter end, so they have to nuke them. That's why America's nuked. Not just America, Canada. This whole hemisphere be radiated. And but the science knew that the last stand would be taken here. And that's why the people that was here, that traveled here, got the hell out of here. That's why they left. That's why Master Muhammad tell you, they went to Mars. They got the hell out of here. Mars, they say, because what's for a stadium, you're going to be destroyed. We see the ones that came over here 15,000 years ago, they all destroyed. I mean, the Native Americans, right, that came over here, they all were gone. And they didn't even get to that part. But it said the ones that here, they left. They know this whole continent is going to be radiated, destroyed, nuked, burns the oven. And I hope you understand, brothers and sisters, those are solutions. No solution. And that tells you that ones that go to tribulation, they got 5 months to get the hell out of here. I've been saying a year, but they only got 5 months. You know, you got to read between the lines, bro. I told you, the demon war gonna last 5 months. I told you that after 5 months, that's when China and India are gonna roll up in here. I said when they roll up, that's when our people will leave. So I told you that right there. I'm trying to tell you, brothers and sisters, what I'm telling them. So sometimes you have to calculate a few things. Because that's what I told you, right? I said in 5 months, I said, and they'll be destroyed at the same time China and India rolls up here. At the same time they roll up here, right? That's the deal that's made, that they will let those that went through tribulation, our people, they will let them pass through, but then they would close on Pharaoh's armies. Ain't that what I said? I'm not changing anything. So they only go through tribulation for 5 months. But it's still going to be hell. And they'll be out here just before the place gets nuked. That's why people left. They said, why would the hell they leave? That's why they went to Mars. I said, hell with that. And they weren't able to take all the technology, our supercomputers and all that. That's what we had to do. They wasn't able to, that stuff was way outside the solar system. They was allowed to take a certain amount of technology and stuff with them, but not enough to get way out, because they would need that computer and everything to actually get out to the universe. Because we don't want them, because they would be more powerful than us if we let them have everything. But see, if you think about it, they had too much of a choice. They could have went to Dr. Shabazz, they had moved to no. I mean, they could have went there where they wanted to, because now they can't come back to the Earth. Because living on Mars, low gravity, everything, they can't come back. They're different. They probably make, I don't know what they look like. Matter of fact, Mama said he showed them pictures of them. I don't know what they look like. I'm pretty sure they don't look that much different from us. Right? And they breathe oxygen and stuff, but the gravitational field is much less, and so they're going to be different. They couldn't live here anyway. Only way they can come back here is they probably have some of our females go there and impregnate them, and then they come back here and see. Maybe that might, but I don't know. I'm not going into that kind of detail. But the point is, that's why they got the hell out of here. Because the epic battle is going to take place here. Keep telling you, judgment is going to take place here. Epic battle is going to take place here. It's going to be an epic battle. It says, go come at it with fierce. But it said the ram was so powerful, nobody could stand in his way. It said the ram was so powerful, nobody could stand in his way. He had 2 horns. But it said the goat came, he was angry. The feet did not touch land. He came and he came with a super force, kinetic force. He was angry at him and hit him so hard. And they went to battle. And the goat was, and the ram was taken down. Stumped in the ground, crushed. And then when by this stuff, they have non-Islam Africa with them. That's another story. I'm going to go ahead and tell that stuff because we right here right now. So they've been laughing at me for years and I've been telling about this Africa. Because Africa is going to come together into 2 segments. Non-Islamic Africa, Islamic Africa. Islamic Africa is going to be with Master Muhammad. And we told them we got two prophets here that's going to bring them together. So, I mean, I'm going to let that happen. I don't see it. I ain't trying to put anybody down, right? Because I ain't looking in that direction, right? So I'm just off the top of my head. But that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go with it. That's what they're going to do. Because they would be with, it'd be 3 prophets with Suleiman in the pit. Elijah be one, Isa and Muhammad. What's that? They're all Levite prophets. And so I really, you know, let me say it this way, brothers and sisters. We're about to experience this energy burst I'll tell you about. Now, all of us are operating on a lower mental level than we should be because we have still suffering some, you know, I'm not suffering any deprivation now. Maybe my wife might say because I'm burning myself out. I mean, I was really sick back in January. But anyway, you know, our mental level is still lower than it would normally be if we was more energized. And so when you look at people, and I gotta confess, when you look at people If you look at it from this state, you might not, man, that don't look like anything. But if you look at Lazarus, man, if you look at Lazarus right now, man, you mean that's going to be the God? They're going to show the Lord, look. So I have to apologize to those two prophets, because when that energy burst come, they're going to be somebody else. They're going to be somebody else. So I'm looking at them right now, when they, when they sleep, so to speak. So you got my apologies. I'm so busy, brothers and sisters, I'm telling you. I try to keep up with a lot of stuff. I can't see it now, but once they get the energy burst that we're all about to get in a few more days, maybe a few more seconds, whatever, right? Their mentality is going to boost up. Everybody's mentality is going to boost up. Remember what the Quran says? Your senses will be sharp on that day. You think you're talking about? It said your senses will be sharp on that day. Your mentality will be very sharp. At that point, when that happens, because you had an energy burst, and it says right in the Quran, your senses will be sharp that day. So they'll be sharp, and the angels say they're going to do it. Everything angels say is going to do happen. Angels say they're going to raise up the Levites. Says one of them is going to release the demons on America. Another one, right, is going to the four winds, release the four winds. Is that what we're going to do? So I said, wait, see. An epic war is going to take place right here. That's why, wait a minute, think about it. It says, in time of unprecedented trouble, he's going to take us out. We ain't taking out from here. I mean, unprecedented trouble is going to be right here. That's where he's taking us out from. And we're taking us out too. Taking us over to the Middle East. Home. So, unprecedented trouble is going to take right here in America. And the place is going to be burned down. That's why people left, got the hell out of here. That's why he had to force the Native Americans over here. They didn't want to come. They were forced out of Asia. And the ones that was here, they can't find nobody here. They took off. They knew it was going to, they knew 3,000 years ago, the epic battle to take God to make out to make their stand right here. And they got all kinds of weapons and things. And the Master Muhammad's been neutralized. He's neutralizing this stuff. They got all kinds of bio weapons, everything else. They're going to make their last stand right here. It says when envy envies, it tells you. It says, what when envy envies? Who's talking? You got to talk about them. That means if you say, whoa, that means it's going to be a terrible time. These people are not going down easy. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm going to pull that. Yeah, I'm talking about the death bomb. Let's see, it's going to take the goat and knock him out. But see, the goat, they had their little gang too, see? They in on this too. But they want to take the power, because see, they was kind of forced. They're angry at America, right? But they was kind of forced to make that move, because it says the God is told them to do it. It said put in their hearts to do it. Because they totally dependent upon Middle East oil. Totally. And who had control of Middle East oil at that time? Master Muhammad, through his angels. So the economy collapsed. They don't have reserves. The economy collapsed. They don't have it. They turn it off. So he could tell them to do what they want to do. But it says they're the ones that tell. He's the one that tell them to go ahead and take down the harlot, take down America. Okay. But see, they understood, because everybody had a weapon. The ones that stayed at this time. America got all this, now China's on the road and they got all this military stuff and everything. But before that, remember, these people, now China came on board 6,000 years ago. The India was on board for 35,000 years. They said, okay, they understand how this idea I tell you about population, everybody can say amount of energy, all that kind of stuff. They understand that. But remember, they had India and China, India, they had a very close relationship. They had a very close relationship. They're right next to each other. And so They learned a lot from India, and that's one of the reasons why their IQ buzzed up, because they start, Indians, start mixing with them. The bottom line is that both of them, they got the message from India. They was going to use a population bomb. That was going to be their weapon. They ain't know about nuclear weapons and stuff during that time. They used a population bomb. If you understand a population bomb, well, that's a death bomb. That's what they call them, death. Death in Hades. Why? They're the most populous people on the planet. That means they have more control of energy on the planet. They have more control of power on the planet. Because they're most... Remember I told you about a father, if everybody gets the same amount of energy, but your family got 20 people, another family got 2 people, well, if family got 20 people, everybody gets $1,000, that's $20,000 that one person had control of. Other person's only 3 people, they got $3,000 one person had control of. So, everybody has the same amount, but if you look at it in terms of families, this family has more power than that one does. So, they have more control, they have more people, so they have more control of wealth. See, here we don't have control of any of our wealth, because the wealth we do have, 17 million, they control it. Europeans control it. That's why it says, when we leave here, they're plundered. Because they control that, they won't control it, we control it. It says God will control it. Because it says, Ancient Days give control to Master Muhammad, because he's a God, just period. There was population. See, they're their enemy too. Because it says, these 10 kings, talking about them, will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them. See, because everybody's war with everybody else. But their war with America was primarily inspired by the God himself. Because he said he would use them against his own enemies. Because they also represent lightning and thunder. So when they talk about weather and stuff like that in the Bible, they're not necessarily talking about weather like you think weather. Hail is, I'm not going into that kind of detail. But death bomb, population. Now you talk people talking about, since I've been talking about it, I got several articles. This war could kill 6 billion people, 3 billion people, because it will. You only have 3 billion people left. This war is over. Because it says desolation to be determined. Because we got to cut the world population back down because they're overtaxing the earth. Because earth can only produce, can recycle so much material per day. Hold on, recycling no bonuses. That's somebody's had to do a whole lot of recycling idea. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's finish this up. So this recycling idea, the earth is a living machine. Right? It's not a living being, it's a living thing, living machine, and it recycles. That's what it does. We produce waste, it recycles back to nutrition. We produce waste, we turn nutrition to waste. That's what it does. And it does it on a certain rate. If you overtax that, then you start building up the waste. Sometimes you start having pollution everywhere. Pollution in waters, air, like the Quran says, right? It's pollution in land and sea because of man's hands are wrought, because the industrial complex is against it, and all that, but also population, because the population is producing more waste than the earth can recycle on a daily basis. So it's now building up. It's building up. Primarily because China and India, that's the bomb they was using, that's another bomb used against us. Population. And right now we're at war because we're at war ourselves because we don't even have control of our own wealth. It says Pharaoh had it, Egypt had it, America has it. It says, so that's why I said, let them go so you can serve me, because let's go so we can turn back to our God, Master Muhammad, who's based on justice, freedom, equality, Islam. So in other words, everybody be distributed fairly. Like I said, if you got a father, it's 10 people in the family, everybody get $1,000, that's $10,000, but he got control of $10,000, he can buy a Lamborghini and have you eating Cheerios and playing video game. He partying because he controls it. And so America gives us the shit and they take the gold because they control it. And it says, let them go so they can serve, give control to the God who would treat us with justice, freedom, and equality. All, women as well as men. That's the death bomb. China, India, they're the death bomb. That's why I call China the Oriental's death. And they call India, Asia, Hades. That's why, because they're the population bomb. That's another form of energy deprivation. Because the energy we get, you get a certain amount of energy every 50 years, right? And we in the process of absorbing it now. Earth recycling has converted to form we can use. And so, but spread out about how many. So if an island produces a million apples a day, and there's a million people on there need 1 apple a day, and that's all they need, that's fine. Well, if you get 2 million people and everybody gets half an apple, that's not enough. So then you got chaos, you got fighting everything else, because I need a whole apple. So everybody's suffering because they need a whole, but they only get half because it's 2 million, but it's only you produce 1 million per day. So every time you double it, gets less. So you do another 2 million, you got 4 million, everybody's getting a quarter of an apple. So people are starving and carrying on. That's what's happening. So since they got all this population, they're overtaxing the earth. They're putting a burden on the earth with their population. Europeans are putting a burden on the earth with their industry. So they got 2 enemies right there. You got the death bomb and you got the industrial bomb. Both of them are enemies. The death bomb and industrial bomb. Both are hurting the earth. So they destroy those who are destroying the earth. That's how they came at it, death bomb. Europeans had with industrial bombs. They had military industry. They come with, because they figure population, they can override everybody else. So much population and if they take out America's industry, take out European industry, America's the base of it. See, America's the base of it. So they take it out. Then they're dealing with what? Population. And they're dealing with a land war. I'll take their nuclear capability out, then they win. Because their population is much greater than Europe. They go to a land war, just population, conventional war, they win. There's no reason to take out the industry. Because they win, because they got the greatest population. They got half the population in the world is in China and India. You understand what's going on here, brothers and sisters? Everybody's at war. Everybody got their tactics. And their tactics is population. And the Europeans are industry. Okay? You have the false Israel, right? They sold our identity. So for everybody's got peace in this. That's why all the nations are angry. Preparing for war with the God. Everybody's full of wrath. Everybody's got their agenda. How are they going to go about this? So if they stand between us and death, is Suleiman and Master Muhammad. And that's why Suleiman's got to wake up Lazarus and make sure he get the right food when he wakes up. So he wakes up a mighty army. So they become a mighty army, ready for battle. Because we won't battle. We won't battle here. We won't have a battle here, but we're going to battle with the demons here before we leave. It tells you that in Exodus. We're going to battle with them. We're going to have a defensive battle with the devils, but we ain't going to offensive battle with them. Maybe defensive attack us. Well, they're going to attack us. They're going to do that. Then we get out. Then we got to battle when we get home. We got to take our land back from the Sunnis. It tells you that in Exodus. We're going to battle with them. And then we got to battle the latter days with death and Hades. That's the last battle. Death and Hades and Lucifer. That's non-Islamic Africa. Trying to bring it to home to you, brothers and sisters, trying to put all in perspective. But then, if the Shia sign this JCPO agreement, it's time to pack, go home. Because we're at this point right now, we're at that point, that threshold, like they say in Newark, right? Maybe other place, you just got to crap or get off the pot. If you got to go up or down, you go to war, or they always tell them, you either find an agreement or we're going to war. They tell them that. They weren't telling a year ago, you signed an agreement or go to war. That's what they're right now. And that agreement has been signed on the 15th. But now they say, well, it may take a week or whatever. That means Iran is stalling. And then America's got to sign on too. And it doesn't, and from any observer, that doesn't make any sense. Because why would you sign an agreement that the other person is not, you have to make any commitment? Because the bottom line is, Iran said, wait, hold on. We're in this situation right now because we made an agreement with you and you broke it. Another president came and broke it. So how do we know if we make another agreement, another president will come and break it again after we done gave everything we had? But we gave everything we had, and then y'all broke it, and then we stand there, you understand, scratching our behinds. How you don't want to do that again? America said, we can't guarantee. So why would I sign that? You can't guarantee you're going to pay me? Why I sign your job? Okay, I'm going to hire you, but I can't guarantee I'm going to pay you. But you got to work all week. We pay you every month. But you got to work all month. I can't guarantee I'm going to pay you. What? That's what he's saying. Who would sign that? There's a lot of faith. They're saying. Because they tell Iran, we can't guarantee we're going to keep this agreement. Because another president might come and change it. But you got to give everything but you got to keep your part. We can't guarantee we keep our part. That's the phase of the agreement. So we'll see what happens. But whatever happened has happened immediately, nearly immediately. They said the deadline's running out. They said they got a few more days. They only gave us a small extension. And America already made clear, and false Israel already made clear that if Iran don't give up their nuclear ambition, so to speak, they're going to go to war with them. Immediately, if not sooner. And then it says, why is nation mourn? Because things happen other than what they expected to happen. Because it says, Suleiman is made manifest. He comes on. He raises Lazarus. And now he has his army. And now all the nations, because they has down and out. Now all the nations mourn because they know they got Master Muhammad covering them. They know they're at war now. They're in trouble now. See, it wasn't mourning before. They was jubilant. They, man, kick ass. But now they see the power, our power, like the Quran says. Now you see, starting to feel our presence. Now they're starting to see, just like Elijah Muhammad. When he showed up with the FOI, the MGT, taking care of business after Stephen Fletcher and all that Negro butt stuff on the TV and the comics and all that kind of stuff. They're scared people. Because we're supposed to be stupid idiots, monkeys. And Elijah Muhammad said, no, look at these people, man. They're intelligent. They're smart. They're wise. They take care of business. They're loyal. That ain't what y'all, that's what false Israels make them look like fools. That ain't them. Look at them. That scared people because that wasn't supposed to happen. So they had to go to work to try to destroy the image all over again. They got Farrakhan working on it with Scientology and Sunnis and all that kind of stuff. It's the morning. See? So I'm not going to read all this, but this little black part here. And through this, in one day will come the plagues of her death, mourning, and famine. She's mourning now. Because, hey, but black people leaving here. When she had in captivity, he finally rose up. Now they getting the hell out of here. Says that will cause a plunder because we the wealth of America. That's another story together. Famine and fire, she will burn down. America be burned down. They just talking about America. They're not talking about Canada. They're not talking about Mexico, the whole side of the hemisphere. That's why you don't see this hemisphere mentioned in the Bible anywhere. Why don't you see this hemisphere mentioned in the Bible? They talk about the Western, this Eastern hemisphere. But you wouldn't even think this hemisphere even existed. It's not mentioned in the Bible anywhere. At least not in the way you can see it. But you're talking about America, God can make God, talk about the goat coming from the west over see that in that respect. Because there's no all this gonna be burned up. Because God can make their land stand here. And they got forces all over this continent. In Canada's going to go with America. Think Canada's not going to fight with America? Of course they are. And what about Mexico and all the other countries? Farrakhan trying to bring him in. Elijah Muhammad said they were our first enemies. Buddhism and they was the worst of it. They was our first enemies. So how the hell now Farrakhan said they are friends? Because he's a demon. He's one of them. They're put together, right, brothers and sisters? Desolations have been decreed. Desolation is going to take place here first. This is the first place going to be wiped out. Remember, Britain, that's Magog, they taken out, but here first. And then that war in Europe, they're going to take down America, but they're going to be spared for a little bit until the flood comes. When the flood comes, think about it. Just put two and two together, bro. So let's do some abstract here again. They war in Europe. Everybody turns against America. America gets defeated over there. They war with the demons over here. Demon war, 5 months, demon war. They take them out. China, India's on the west coast, embarking, get ready to take America out. Right? There's a classic war, a dramatic war going here. It goes nuclear, right? Now, America's already vanquished in Europe. So they're out of Europe, they're out of the Middle East, they're out of that continent altogether. But the Europeans are still there. Russia's still there, they vanquished them, they're still there. And the Chinese are still over here. So they take America out, they still exist over there. That's why I said they would be spared for a season at a time. Europe will still be spared for a season at a time. Because first they're going to take out America and Britain. They take them out, take out the ram. Right? They said the rest of the beast was spared for a season at a time. Because remember, that's the flood. It takes them out. That's China, India, and America. Non-South Africa. They're together, and they finally take out Europe. You see, it's right there, brothers and sisters. That's why it says that. But the epic war will take place here. And not been a nuclear war in Europe. They already had their fighting and all that kind of stuff. They just vanquished America. Now America's not on that continent anymore. They're over here on this side of the world, this hemisphere. Okay. And the Europeans, they're under Russian control. They're under Russian control. Okay. They're all together now. But they was fighting with Russia against America. They're all together now. All Europe is under Russian domination. And then they go to war with Russia. They go to war with Europe. After Hades, knock out This is kind of tricky, bro. Says, I guess I'll say it. After they take out America, Iran, and Britain, they're gone, right? It says that death and Hades was thrown into what they call it, the lake of fire. See, I know you don't understand what that means, because remember, they represent seas, water. They did a flood. What does a flood do? Put out water. Put out fire. I mean, water put out fire. That's what it's talking about. They throw a lake of fire, they go to war with Europe. They go to war with Europe. They go to war with Europe. That's the flood. That's still not the end of them yet. Still not the end of them yet. You thought the lake of fire, that was in. That's not the end of them yet. That's what they put out to destroy Europe. And lake of fire, throw in the lake of fire. Because Europe's on fire. They said they want everything. They put them. That's it. Drown them. Ain't finished yet. Remember the war of latter days? That's when this one now at this point they go to war with each other. China, India, and Africa, non-South Africa go to war with each other. At that time, Obama's control of non-South Africa, he says he defeats them. He's that horn. He's that horn that cast down three. See, I'm going into a lot of detail here, bro. So I'm putting everything online. He's the one that can't see, because he says that little horn cast down three horns, plucked them up by the roots. Now, who's the three? Read Daniel. Who's the three? The three is the two horns of the ram and the one horn of the goat. He puts them all down. So first, he puts down the ram, and then he puts down the goat. China, India. They go to war. He defeats them. Then that's the final war. He defeats them. Once he defeats them, he's got control of them, their armies. They're under his control, and then that's when they come after us in the Middle East. That's the final war. War of latter days. That's the final war. Brother and sister, whoa! I ain't never went this much detail ever, because we had to do it now. We have to do it. So I'm laying it out for you. I'm laying out. So keep watching the weather, Farrakhan, because you don't know any of this. You have no idea what's about to happen, but you should, because it's going to happen to you. Watch the weather. That's what complex, brothers and sisters. See? To corrupt through the corrupt earth, that means going to destroy those destroying earth. That's another translation. Okay? They're going to be destroyed. Destroyed by the goat, China and India. And nations were made wrathful. And the wrath of you and appointed time of death be judged. Remember? That's when the wrath, judgment takes place here. To give reward to slaves of you, reward. What's the Abrahamic covenant? Reward. Give back our land to the prophet holy and the fear of the name of you. There it is, brothers and sisters. Come on. Everything I say, we can back it up 100%. And here it is. And death, Hades was thrown into the lake of fire. This is the death. The second is the lake of fire. Second death. Who is the second death? You got to ask. Because you know the first death was somebody. So the second death is not actually a lake of fire, is it? So this is death to second. It's another death. Because you know the first death represents represents Asian countries. Remember, we said that's the first death. So the second death is not really symbolic. Lake of fire is symbolic. That means Europeans. Second death. The death that comes after. Well, I'm not going to go to that. Well, I think we're pretty much there. Look, he's come with the clouds. We'll see him every eye. Scatter them out. They will strike themselves, all tribes of earth. So in other words, that resurrection takes place when labs come place. Then they will strike themselves, all tribes of earth. That means all European countries are going to be fighting with each other. And you go down here again, here's one day. This is chapter 1, top one. That's 7th verse. This chapter 18. Do this, and one day will come the plagues of her. Remember, death is one of the plagues. Mourning. Now she's mourning because Suma is risen. Famine. Because all, but I didn't talk about that too much. All oil, see, we control their minds. So Biden just gave away their oil reserves. Okay? So he's already capped all their wells. So America's not self-producing oil anymore. But they get ready to go to war in the Middle East, and that means when they go to war in the Middle East, they lose. They don't expect to lose. They lose. That means Michael's angel had total control. And I say that's total control of oil in the Middle East. And I said that's the reason how they get Death Hades to go to war in America. Because they totally depend on oil. But America's totally dependent on oil too, because they capped their well and they gave away their reserves. So now they cut off. When they cut off, immediately, see, that cut off was going to cut off for Europe. And that's going to cause Europe to trade with America because they're going to have to go with Russia because the only way they can get the oil is they'll get it from Russia because Russia only will be supplier because they can't get it from the Middle East. So they're going to go against America. Their populists going to turn against the politicians. They're going to have to, because they say, man, we're going to freeze everything because of some bullshit America doing. So that's how they turn against America. But then America, economy collapsed because they don't have any oil. They cut off from the Middle East. And you can't even buy oil in this country. If there was, you could buy it. Of course, what, $50, $100, $2 or $3, $5 a gallon, if you can even get it? If you can even get it. You understand? But you won't. Because the government's going to confiscate because they're at war with Russia. They're at war in the Middle East. They're at war in the Middle East. So the military is going to confiscate. So that means it's not going to be all. You got no distribution, no better supply stores, everything. Total collapse. That means that's going to cause the famine. Famine don't just mean, you think famine means what it means, no food. But you think it's causing no farms and stuff. No, there's no food. So they're going to start eating themselves after about a week or so. They'll be starving to death. That's what it's talking about. It said death, a plague, death is one of them, mourning, because now they know we left, we leaving. See, Lazarus risen, that's the mourning, talks about there, right? And famine, no food, because the stores can be empty. If there's any stuff in stores after one day, it's going to be people going to put rush on it, they're going to be gone. And you don't beat anyway, you get killed. People be starving in a week. They're going to start eating each other, like I said. So women going to eat their own children. All the dogs, all the stuff will be eaten up. And then fire should burn down. Death is going to burn it down. Because what? Strong's law of God, judgment, everything's just happening. God's making it happen. Because I told you, he's the one that tells to go take out America to begin with. And they will be weeping. They will strike themselves very upon kings of earth as they fight each other during this time. Same thing I said at the top and up there. I think I said, brothers and sisters. Look, he's coming with the cloud. Every eye will see him. Those that pierce him. All the people of the earth will mourn because of him. All the people of the earth will mourn because of him. Because now he's taking his throne back. And all they was trying to do to stop us has failed. And now we can defend ourselves, and we have an army. And we got an Air Force matched by Muhammad. We got a high priest, we got a God. So now it's on. Really on now. So I'm just going to page this, brother, since you can do it on your own. This angel key. That's where it is right now, the Shia, they right now, the JCPOA, they're in negotiation with Europe. They don't want to negotiate with America and Britain, right? They don't want to negotiate with them. That's where right now, at this point, they got to either go back to JCPOA or they got to go to war. That's where it is right now. Go to war, they kick out America and Britain and force Israel out of the Middle East. Britain goes to war with death, or China and Korea. Right? America's at war with Europe, but that means Britain's also at war with Europe. If America is, America's also at war with China and North Korea. And they're also attacking the black people. Black people flee because of the abomination of desolation. That said Moses caused the winds to the sea. The winds also cause the sea. The Red Sea part. The wind causes it part, so people can pass through on dry land. That's the chaff as well as wheat. Remember, they all come together in one harvest. See? Those are the clouds. I'm not going into that, brothers and sisters, detail. Here come the clouds. They're the clouds, and they're also the eyes. And every eye will see them. It identifies who he is because Master Muhammad is one of the eyes. He's talking about there. See, brothers and sisters, I'm going to leave it there. And that's it. Well, this is what we fight. We fighting on this level. Africa. They're fighting on the atmospheric level. We fight on the earth sphere. I'm going to talk more about that another time, but that's it, brothers and sisters. I think I've covered in general, but everything's supposed to happen from this day forward. But next year, so all these things I talked about, so you got to grab it out the pot. So if they don't sign JCPOA, all the things you see right now is going to happen in quick succession. Man, so fast, going to make your head spin. But if you do go back to JCPOA, you won't hear it from me anymore. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm going to leave it there. Assalamu alaikum.